Elden Ring has a surprisingly easy no-hit run. A lot of the bosses are scripted, and due to the nature of the game, you can get incredibly overpowered. This video is the main parts of the run, but also some commentary to work as sort of a guide for anyone wanting to give it a try. But first, there's some ground rules for the run. Number one is, most obvious, you can't get hit by any enemy. Staggers from enemies also count as hits. You can take damage as long as it isn't inflicted by an enemy. Fall damage, environmental damage is okay. However, dying to these is not. As an example, I use Assassin's Gambit in this run, which inflicts damage to yourself when procced, but obviously doesn't count as a hit. You're also not allowed to quit out to avoid damage or an enemy's aggro, however you can when you are out of combat. And that is pretty much the gist of the run, so without further delay, let's get into it. So we're starting off with the Samurai class, as it has the Uchi Katana and decent stats all across as well. We also take the Lands Between runes to get 3k runes straight away. We skip the Grafted Scion. It's allowed in the team hitless rules anyway. You can fight him if you want, but it's not needed and also a lot quicker. I'll just briefly go over the entire setup as there's not much that really happens. There's no real exact path you take. As long as you go in the same general direction each time and just avoid enemies with Torrent, you'll be fine. But key items and such are shown. To start, we go directly to the first church of Marika and we get the smithing stones and also speak to Caelid and get 3 cracked pots with the crafting kit. Then also get the cookeries on the way to the Gatefront Grace, where we will get Torrent. Then head up the path to get the golden seed as well as the smithing stones to the right, and we'll get the Stormhouse Shack site of grace. Then we go northeast past this troll to get the crystal tier and get the War Master Shack site of grace. We'll go up this cliff and kill this mounted knight for the golden vial Ash of War. You can do it easily by using the Ash of War heavy attacks on the Uchi Katana twice and then getting a riposte. Then you get the Saint's Bridge grace. Collect the smithing stones on the bridge and then speak to the merchant and get another cracked pot and all the smithing stones. And then we'll head through these ruins and collect the Trina lilies and mushrooms. You'll want to make sure you're picking up all these along the way that you do pass, just because they're used for the sleep pots. Go next to the ruins and drop down to the graveyard to collect all the runes and the cookbook for the sleeping pots, and then just head on down the cliff to get the third church grace, getting the sacred tier and physic flask also. Head to the minor Erd tree and get another crystal tier, and then go to the ruins to get the axe talisman for better charge attacks. Also collecting the Trina lilies and mushrooms here as well. And after we get it from the chest, we're just going to warp back to the third church grace and run back and take the same route past the minor Erd tree, but keep on going until we come up to Fort Height. We're going to just run up the side, watching out for the archer at the top and the enemies at the ground. And we're going to get the golden seed, making sure to take a long route around just so the enemies don't see us. Then do this little jump up the back way with Torrent. Then we're going to use our bow. So the Ash of War does a lot more damage and it can also lock on at a good range. So we're going to lock on to the 2 enemies on the ledges above and kill them with standard arrows. Then we're going to kill the 2 rats here. You don't need to deal with the other ones as you can just run through from this point. However, run up the stairs and then we'll use the bow again on the next enemy at the top of them, and then just keep close to the wall to get up the ladder and get the first Dectus medallion piece. Then just warp back to the third church grace and we're going to use the secret portal behind it to go to Caelid. We go straight to the Farum Great Bridge grace and collect the golden seed on a way to then take us to the Round Table Hold. We will turn it to daytime here just to avoid the Knight's Cavalry on the next pathway and spawn back at that grace. Follow the back route around, collect the runes at this graveyard and keep going until we get to the Fort Farif grace. We'll take a detour to run past these dragons and get the Dragon Barrow West grace, and then go up the hill and make sure to avoid all these big dogs roaming around and buy the torch from the merchant. The torch is 1200 runes, so use some of the runes in your inventory if needed. Go back to Fort Farif and hit this part of the wall to attract the enemies inside, equip the torch and crouch sprint through to the ladder. Then we'll get the second half of the Dectus medallion, but we'll drop down from this ledge and go into this hole, collect this rune past this rat, jump across, and then we'll collect Radagon's sword seal. The rats won't aggro with the torch equipped, so just keep that out. Then warp back to the grace, go to the left and drop down the cliff onto the spirit spring and use it to go on top of the skull and collect the smithing stones, and then we'll go to the Dragon Barrow West grace. We'll just be following a path over to the next fort that you can see, making sure we stay to the left at this wall to avoid all the enemies. Then we're going to go around the back way to get the Flame Grant Me Strength incantation, and then we're going to keep going all the way along the main path, avoiding the enemies and the dragon as well as the Knight's Cavalry. Collect the golden seed and then go straight to the Redmane Castle grace. And before warping away, we're going to go around the backside and kill this golden scarab for the Cragblade Ash of War, and then we're going to make our way back to the Stormhill Shack Grace. We change it to morning, then take the back passage all the way to Liurnia, get the lake facing cliffs Grace, and then drop down the pillars and head straight over to these ruins to collect a Two Fingers heirloom. Then keep going to the next set of ruins and go through the teleporter, get the Self Raya Lucaria gate Grace. From that Grace, go along the right hand side and craft 4 sleep pots until we reach the crab in the courtyard. Use a sleep pot and collect the smithing stones until we come out to this little gazebo to collect more smithing stones, and then we'll collect the glintstone key to access Raya Lucaria. Also make sure to collect the kukris here as well. Then make sure you warp fast enough before the boss aggroes to one of the Graces. If not, just get out of range, then warp back to the lake facing cliffs Grace. Head on down the standard path until we reach the merchant. Buy the smithing stone 1s until we have 12 in total and all of the 2s. Follow along the right hand side of the path, avoiding this lobster, and head straight to this gazebo to get even more smithing stones, and then head southwest to Raya and accept her quest. Then get the Boil Prawn Shack Grace, and then warp back to the Gatefront Grace in Limgrave. We're going to use the sleep pots on these 2 enemies around the backside to get the flail from this cart, and then head back to the Boil Prawn Shack. Put on Radagon's Soreseal and put the stamina and strength physics into your flask. Then we'll use the Ash of War on the flail to kill this guy. Hit him with 1 light attack first to make him stand, and then you'll just stunlock him from there. Talk to Raya again afterwards, and then we will get the Volcano Manor summons, and then warp to the Self Raya Lucaria Grace. Just go through these teleporters and make our way to the Bellum Church to get the Sacred Tear. Then make sure to follow the path to the left to collect this rune arc, and then we'll head up to the Altus Plateau. Go instantly left to get this Site of Grace, and then go back to the entrance to speak to Raya, who will take us to the Volcano Manor. Activate the Volcano Manor Grace, then warp straight back to Altus. Head up the right hand side of the main stairs, and then past the Tree Sentinels, and get the Grace next to the Golden Seeds. Make sure to collect these as well. Head on down until we reach this cave down to the right hand side. We're going to sleep the first 2 enemies we see here, and get the Bell Bearing Charm from the chest, and then leave the cave and warp back to the Grace. Just head straight up the stairs and get the next Golden Seeds, and then get the other entrances Grace. Follow the main path and then go down to the right side to the water to avoid the Archer Golems, and then we're going to use the Spirit Spring to go up behind him, and then we're coming up to the Draconic Tree Sentinel. So we're going to be cheesing him. Basically, you will make him follow you to this rock, making sure you don't aggro him, but making sure he follows you, and then we're going to use the kukris while aiming with the bow to lure him over to this exact point on the cliff edge. And then we're going to sneak up behind him and start up a charge attack with the Uchigatana. Going to do 2 of these, and then an Ash of War light attack to stagger, then 1 light attack will knock him off the cliff edge. Now if he instantly jumps away or something does go wrong, you can use a Lost Grace to warp away. Just make sure he isn't doing the fireball attack at range. And also if you end up running out of kukris or just can't do this strat, you can kill Grail. We're just doing this early for mainly the runes, but it's also just so we don't have to fight him later, especially if you can just cheese him. However, if you kill Grail, you'll get the runes required. When we do come back to the Draconic Tree Sentinel, he is scripted with the Iron Balls anyway, so you can just pick whichever one you'd prefer. But after that, get the Capital Rampart Grace, and that's it. We're pretty much done the setup. We'll go back to the Round Table Hold and give the Twin Merchants the Smithing Stone Bell Bearing. Buy 12 Smithing Stone 3s and 4s. We're also going to buy the Dagger, Rapier and Finger Seal. Then go and upgrade the Iron Balls to +12. And then we're going to put the heavy Cragblade Ash of War on it. Also put Golden Veil on the Dagger. Next we're going to level up Faith to 10, and then pretty much however high Strength will go. It'll be around 23 or 24. Just spend all your runes on it. Also equip Flame Grant Me Strength and use your Golden Seeds and Sacred Tears to upgrade your flask. And then just finally change your Physic Flask to the Strength and Charge Attack tiers. Next stop off at the Warmaster Shack. Now this will be the buffing routine for the whole game. You use the Physic Flask, Flame Grant Me Strength, then Golden Veil and Cragblade. I believe Golden Veil actually lasts longer, so you may want to do that before Flame Grant Me Strength. However, it was negligible to me anyway, so just do whatever you want. And we're going to go behind Bernarl here and do a charge attack, then a normal heavy attack. We're just going to collect his items, then go straight to the Volcano Manor and join them. Then go back to the Round Table Hold and we'll give the Twin Merchants his Bell Bearing and get Assassin's Gambit Ash of War. Use the runes in your inventory if needed to buy it, and we will apply this to the Rapier. Next we're going to run down to the Murkwater Cave to kill Patches. Just de-aggro this invader by running out of range. Just sprint straight through to the boss room. Again, do our buff in sequence, and we're going to wait for Patches to do his Rot Breath attack. This doesn't count as a hit if you are caught in it anyway. This will make him cower down and just finish him off with another charge attack. Next, go back to the Round Table Hold and give the twin merchants his bell bearing, and we're gonna buy Margit's shackle and 3 of the gold fingers to increase rune gain. And now we're finally ready for Margit. Just go to the Stormhill Shack Grace, and you can turn it to nighttime to be safe while using Assassin's Gambit to pass all these enemies, and then just get his grace right outside the boss room. We're gonna equip Margit's shackle into your inventory, and again we're gonna do our buffing sequence, changing the Faith Talisman out for the Axe one. And as soon as we go in, we're going to use Margit's shackle. We're going to do 3 charge attacks which will stagger him, and the 4th one will kill him. It's that easy. We'll get another talisman pouch, so we're going to equip the Faith Talisman along Radahn Sword Seal or the charge attack one. We're going to go for the main gate, and if it isn't already nighttime, make sure it is, and we're going to use Assassin's Gambit and sneak up the right hand side while getting the Limgrave Tower Bridge grace. Then we're going to go back out and use Assassin's Gambit while keeping to the right and killing these basic enemies with the bow using the Ash of War while using the fire arrow for the bigger enemy. Then go for and use the bow on these next 2 enemies, making sure Assassin's Gambit is always procced. And we're going to climb the rocks until we see this enemy on the right on the crossbow, shoot him, and then use this line up with the tree to sleep pot the crossbow enemy across from us. Next, drop down and throw a kukri at this wall and just sprint past these enemies. We're going to sprint straight through to get this lift, and then we're going to get the grace outside of Godrick. However, before fighting him, we're going to go to the Altus Plateau first grace again and go straight over to this ruin to fight Gillica. I'm going to do the buffing sequence again and then go straight to Gillica's left leg and do 3 charge attacks which will stagger, and they'll barely have any health, so just do a light attack to finish it off. Then we're going to get the Ritual Swords Talisman from the chest. And now we're ready for Godrick. So now would be a good point to say that although a lot of these bosses are scripted, it is absolutely worthwhile to set up save states to practice some, just to get a feel for their movesets and to learn them a bit better in case the scripting goes off. You can use a save manager that you can find on something like Nexus mods, and I'd recommend setting save states for either the harder parts of the running sections and all the bosses as well. Now Godrick is pretty easy anyway, although he's not entirely scripted. He will open up with doing either a jump attack or dragging his axe along the ground and doing a swipe. No matter what, you just roll this and do a charge attack. Always make sure after you've got a hit in to roll backwards, as he can start this whirlwind attack out of nowhere, so you always want to be cautious of that. You want to stand just far enough for the 3rd wave as it reaches a bit further than the first 2, and then he'll either shoot whirlwinds at you or he'll roll around and leap into the air. We want him to do this as you can just sprint to the right hand side of him while locked on, and the attack will miss, and then you can get another attack in. It will only take a few charge attacks to make him phase transition. The best moves to punish are the whirlwind attack or his AoE when he pushes his hammer into the ground. He also has a long 5-hit combo that if you roll the last attack you can also get a charge attack in. When he is phase transitioning, come over to the left hand side as his axe can actually cause damage to you when he's cutting it off. Just a few more attacks in just until the cutscene, and then we're going to sprint straight towards him and do a few charge attacks which should stagger, and if not you'll have done enough damage to either kill him outright or just get one more little attack in. So after Godrick, go back to the Limgrave Tower Bridge grace and just sprint past these giants, keeping to the left hand side and also waiting for this archer to shoot behind this pillar. Then we'll go up the elevator to collect a great rune and then go straight to Redmane Castle to take on Radahn. Rest here and then level up strength as far as it can go and equip the great rune while using a rune arc to activate it. And then activate the festival and collect this smithing stone, and then we're going to go down to fight Radahn. You start the fight by instantly hopping on Torrent and going straight backwards until Radahnn's out of view, then come back and he'll put his bow away and instantly start coming towards you, and that is when we do our buffing sequence. So Radahn again is not entirely scripted, so I'd recommend practicing his moveset, but we're looking out for this one combo where he stomps on his horse and starts slamming his swords towards you. When he does this, you just run underneath him, try and get around 3 charge attacks here. He'll do a gravity AoE that you roll and get behind, and then you do another charge attack. He will then do a final gravity AoE. You roll in front of him to bait out a big slam, and then you go back behind him and do some charge attacks to stagger, and then you'll just do a few more attacks until he dies from there. However, if he does manage to get away, then you just wait on him to come back. Now, if his health isn't low enough and you don't trust that you'll be able to kill him at the very start when he slams back down, just use a Lost Grace and get out and restart the fight. However, he always opens up phase 2, jumping off his horse, but you can hit his horse and it does damage to him. Now again, I just recommend practicing Radahn for his movesets, but practicing this exact setup and essential scripting of the fight. After Radahn, go back to the Round Table Hold and get the extra talisman pouch from the finger reader, then go to the capital ramparts in Altus Plateau. Level up strength by also using Radahn's remembrance and then continue through. Use Assassin's Gambit to run past these bubble boys, drop down this part of the stairs and do some parkour over the rooftops, again making sure Assassin's Gambit is continuously procced, and cross over the courtyard to go down the elevator. Again do more parkour over these rooftops and follow the path around and then get the avenue balcony grace. Go back down and use Assassin's Gambit around the right hand side and then just keep following all the way through and then just keep following the standard route, watching out for this enemy on the left who lunges out, and then just keep sprinting all the way past everything up the tree roots until we get to Golden Godfrey. Now this boss you'll just have to practice. It will also be helpful for Godfrey later on in the run. He's not too bad anyway, so it won't take long. Afterwards, we'll use Assassin's Gambit once more to run past this assassin, and we're going to hide behind this little bit until the assassin de-aggroes and get the grace. Level up strength again here, and we're going to head back to the Saint's Bridge Grace in Limgrave. Drop down to the right side and then go along to the left to enter this cave. Head on through and use Assassin's Gambit to drop down the hole. We're also going to use the Bow's Ash of War to kill these first two wolves, then continue through to this really dark room and just lock on and you'll find the two wolves and do the same to them. Use Assassin's Gambit again before going into the next room, and we're just going to take out as many of these bats as we can. Take it slow and just watch out for any of them aggro on you, but you will be fine as long as you use Assassin's Gambit. And we'll jump down and come to the boss. You just do two charge attacks to the leg and the giant will die, which will reward us with the Blue Dancer talisman. And now we're ready for Morgott. So the 4 talismans for the run are the Axe Talisman, Radagon Soreseal, Richard's Sword and the Blue Dancer. Put on Margit's Shackle and then as usual do our buffing routine and head on in. Now Morgott is completely scripted, so there's nothing to really worry about. Just go in, use the Shackle and get 3 charge attacks in. This will make him stagger. Wait a bit to get some stamina back, then we do a riposte. Then we'll start a charge attack instantly after as soon as you can and he'll be almost dead, and then an R1 or an R2 will kill him. Now we won't use these runes yet as we need to upgrade the iron balls. We'll get the rolled medallion and then go to the avenue balcony site of grace and just continue through to the mountaintop of giants. After going up the elevator, we're going to use Assassin's Gambit and kill the enemy off to the right, and we're going to throw a kukri at the wall to distract these next 2 enemies and just run past the mounted knight as well. Just hop on torrent after we get to the snowy area and then we're just going to run past everything until we come up to the Blackblade Kindred. Just stay to the right hand side. You can be risky and just go straight to the elevator, however you can do a long ranged attack, so I just go around the corner and get the grace and then rest to de-aggro him. Then we just head up to the mountaintop of giants. We get these Zamor ruins grace and then go up this mountainside to collect the smithing stone bell bearing, then go back to the Round Table Hold and level up the iron balls to plus 19. Then back to the mountaintop of giants, and it's just a long running sequence. Main kind of things to note on the way are this first bird. You want to use Assassin's Gambit at the grace and then just continue through the main path, and then we just follow along to where the frozen lake is. We'll take a left again using Assassin's Gambit here, and then we're going to run over the invisible bridge and then jumping off at the right, and we're going to just keep going basically until we get to the fire giant grace, and take a quick detour to the right using Assassin's Gambit to go into this big skull's mouth to collect the ancient dragon smithing stone. And then we're ready for Fire Giant. So we go in, do our normal buffing sequence, then drink one of the blue flasks to regain all our FP, and then get on torrent and ride towards him. Now he will either attack by putting his shield in the ground and launching a big AoE. If he does this, just get off torrent and roll it, and then get back on torrent. If he does any other move, just ride on torrent until you get between his legs, and then we're going to come off torrent and get 1 charge attack on his foot. This will stagger him, and then we're going to try and get 2 charge attacks, aiming high up on his ankle as possible as he will take more damage. You should try and aim for 3 charge attacks. If not, you'll just do 2 and then 1 heavy attack. This should stagger him again, and then get our stamina back, and we're going for 3 more. This will get you to the second phase, and then at the start we'll use Flame Grant Me Strength, and then we're going to roll into where his hand lands. You'll kind of need to gauge the area of where his hand will land, and then we'll get 3 charge attacks and then 1 normal heavy attack to make him stagger. Then we'll do charge attacks trying to hit his eye directly, which will be a pain, but the second one hits better, and if needed you can do the riposte, and he should be dead. If this scripting doesn't work and he does manage to roll away, or in the second phase you don't get him after that, you can always just use the Lost Grace to go out and do it again. I also recommend using one of the gold foul foots to get more runes from this boss as well. Afterwards, just head up the forge, level up strength, and then we'll be taken to Crumbling, Farum, Azula. Collect the smithing stones and the rune while dropping down, and then we're going to use Assassin's Gambit at the stairs, smacking this part of the wall to draw aggro from the enemy, and then just keep sprinting through past the dragon and rest at this first grace to de-aggro it. Use Assassin's Gambit again and go out the window to the right. Keep using Gambit when needed and drop down onto this path and sprint jump off and run outside. Keep an eye to your left as there is a lightning beastman who can do AoE attacks. Then as usual we're just using Assassin's Gambit and sprinting through until we get to this grace. Rest here and then use a Gambit again, wait for this night to pass, and we're going to jump down into the Godskin Duo boss arena. From here we're going to use Assassin's Gambit again and then make sure you heal up to get the effects of the Ritual Swords Talisman, and then walk forward until the fight starts, then go back a bit and throw 2 sleep pots at the highest angle. This will sleep them both, do the buffing sequence, make sure you drink your FP flask as well. And to the big fatty we're going to do 3 charge attacks which will stagger, we're going to get stamina back for the riposte, then 1 more charge attack will kill him, and he still takes damage for a bit afterwards, so then do another charge attack or 2. Then for the skinny one it's just 4 charge attacks, so you just have to have full stamina. Now I don't know the exact timing afterwards, but one of them will respawn. It's around 11 seconds or so. So we're going to buff using Flame Grant Me Strength in this time, and we're going to just wait and then throw a sleep pot at it, and hopefully you can sleep it. If not, you can just bait out one of its projectile attacks, or just wait until a punishable move so you can throw the sleep pot. And then we're just going to do the same process on that one, and then the boss will be over. You can use a gold filled foot here as well for the runes. After that we get a smithing stone bell bearing from that boss as well, so go back and we can fully upgrade the iron balls. Then you can just head back to the boss arena grace and run down these stairs. Use Assassin's Gambit and you can throw a kukri at the wall here to distract the beastman, and do some parkour along these edges, and then we're going to jump off onto this ledge. Be careful here as it is quite narrow. If you haven't aggroed any enemies yet, you can just quickly go to the map and warp to the last grace, and from there you just continue onto the path, and we're going to jump over the banister at the Crucible Knight to get this grace. And then from here you can go the normal route with the dragon and the many bird enemies, but we can do a little skip that is actually allowed in the Team Hitless rules anyway. So you run over this ledge and just jump straight down onto this little narrow bit. If you do miss it, just again warp back to the last grace, and then we're going to jump down to the bottom and go up the elevator. Use Assassin's Gambit and buff up a bit because we're going to need to kill a beastman enemy. After you've killed this one, we're going to jump over and land on this ledge. We're going to jump around these pillars sticking out, and for the last jump we're going to angle ourselves into the wall at the same time while sprinting, and then you're going to delay your jump just a bit and then it will take you over the railing. If you do miss this, since we killed the beastman enemy, you can go in your map and spawn back at the grace and then try again. Then we'll get the beside the Great Bridge grace and level up the strength more, and we'll go up the path and use Assassin's Gambit past the Tree Sentinel. Then it's time for Malekith. So again, I would recommend just practicing this boss, getting a feel for especially the first phase, as the second phase is scripted. But we're looking out for 2 main attacks. One is when he reaches into the ground as an AoE spike attack. You want to be quite close to him here as he will drag it along the ground, so the timing is a bit off. And then you can get a jumping heavy attack in here as well. The other attack is when he puts his dagger into the ground and sweeps it around him. You can run to his back leg and get a charge attack in. You just avoid all his attacks, otherwise a lot of them are throwing projectiles or very quick slashes, especially in his combos, so just stay kind of medium range from him and try and bait out those 2 attacks. Once you get the phase transition, you're going to run back a little bit and then roll his first attack. We're going to do a charge attack on his right leg. I wait as he brings his left leg down so I can get an easier second charge on it. This should stagger him, and then you can do another charge attack to his head, and if you don't get the kill on that, just 1 more attack will do it. Now if you do not get the stagger here, I would recommend using the Lost Grace, as we want it completely scripted, as Malekith's second phase can be quite difficult even on a normal playthrough. But then once you've bit him, you can use the gold filled foot here as well for more runes, and then we're on to the final boss gauntlet. Just get to the Ashen Capital and level up our strength and run straight to Gideon. Now Gideon is completely scripted as well. You just buff up and I wait for his sad state of affairs line and then do 2 charge attacks, then 1 heavy attack, and he will die. And then that's it. You just continue through, level up strength once again, and then it's time for Godfrey. Godfrey is another boss that is scripted to a certain extent, however things can go a bit differently each run, so I'd recommend doing a lot of practice on him. You start off the same and do a loop around him and then get a charge attack in. He either moves away to the left and does a slam attack or goes into a melee attack instantly, but most of the time he will move away to the left side. After this you do a jump light attack and he will do a scripted lava attack where he puts his axe into the ground and then causes a massive AoE. You roll the first axe into the ground, do a jumping heavy attack when he pushes it in. Gotta learn the timing a bit for this for when the AoE does go off, as it's a bit delayed, but you roll that and then you can get another charge attack in here as well. At this point he will either continue on doing attacks, or if you've got his health down enough, he will start a massive AoE. You have plenty of time to get another attack in here for the phase transition. In the second phase you start the same by running around him and getting a charge attack in. Now it can go one of two ways. If you have done enough damage, he will go instantly into another big delayed AoE that you can get more attacks in here, or if not he will start doing normal attacks. If he does start attacking, you're just going to want to bait out his either really slow or quite fast jumping lunge attack where you just roll it and get an attack in, rinse and repeat, staying at range and avoiding the AoEs. But once he does go into that big delayed AoE, we're going to get a charge attack in on his leg. Make sure to aim good as Iron Ball's range is atrocious, and then wait for him to slam. You roll it and then wait for the second one, roll that again and then get a charge attack in and then a light attack if needed, and then he should be done. And then congratulations, even though there's one boss left, it is completely scripted. So level up strength once again. It's kind of unnecessary at this point, but just do it anyway to be safe. Buff outside Radahn, use the FP flask after, and then instantly with Radahn we're going to do 2 charge attacks. This will trigger his stomp attack where we're just going to do a jumping heavy. Now he can inconsistently stagger here, however normally he goes into the air and you just roll that and then do a charge attack, and then that's when he staggers, and then you just do another charge attack afterwards. And that's it, Radahn is down. We're going to use Flame Grant Me Strength in the time before the Elden Beast starts. We're going to run straight towards him and do 2 charge attacks. Run to his right, saving a bit of stamina and making sure we can get 3 charge attacks on his body. He will stagger and then just 3 charge attacks will kill him. Do a riposte if you do need to, but either way it goes down that easy. And of course if you do not get this script where he staggers, just use the Lost Grace and you can go back into the bosses. If everything goes to plan, Elden Beast will go down very easily. And congratulations, you have completed a no-hit run of Elden Ring. Elden Ring's no-hit is really fun. It isn't even that bad. You do have to learn some of the bosses, but if you set some save states and practice their movesets and get used to them, even if they are scripted, some things may go slightly different, so I'd recommend practicing them. But anyway, hopefully this video was helpful for anyone attempting. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it and I hope you enjoyed.